When my wife threw me a surprise birthday party, the entire neighborhood showed up smiling. But not one of them brought a gift. Not one of them looked me in the eye. That was the night I realized everyone knew what she did. Except me. The night I turned 40, there was cake. People laughing on the lawn. Strings of warm light swaying in the late summer air like they'd always been there. It should have been perfect. And it was, almost. Just off by a few degrees. The party wasn't my idea. I'm not a party person, but Lily insisted. She wanted to do something special, something the whole neighborhood could come to. It's not just about you, she said with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. It's about celebrating life. She said that a lot that year. I remember standing in the kitchen while she iced cupcakes, her hair pulled up, neck damp from the heat. She looked tired. Not in the obvious way, but the kind of tired that settles behind the eyes. I asked her what was wrong, and she said, "Nothing, Mel. You always think something's wrong." Maybe I did. Maybe I was already trying to spot the cracks. The backyard was full by 7. Kids running barefoot through the sprinklers, neighbors sipping rose and plastic cups. Graham stood at the grill flipping burgers like he owned the place, cracking jokes loud enough to reach across the fence. He wore that same navy polo he always wore when he wanted to seem casual but in control. Graham had lived 2 doors down since college. We'd met at orientation. He was all charm and elbows back then. Now, he was older, broader, still quick with a smirk. Our wives became close fast. Lily and Graham's wife, Claire, were inseparable those first few years. Then Claire left. 2 summers ago. Just packed up and went. Graham said she met someone in Denver. Lily never spoke about it. I hadn't seen Claire since. But I remembered the way she looked at me at our last block party, long and strange, like she wanted to say something but didn't trust herself to speak. There was a toast around 8. Graham banged his spoon on his glass and made some joke about me being the most boring 40-year-old alive. Everyone laughed. Even Lily. But her laugh was too loud, too forced. I looked over at her and caught her glancing toward the fence, just for a second. Like she was waiting on something. Or someone. After the toast, I moved through the crowd, smiling, accepting hugs, handshakes, the same recycled compliments. "You don't look 40. What's your secret?" Lily really went all out. Every time someone said that, it felt like a brick in my stomach. Then I noticed the gifts. Or rather, the lack of them. We're not a showy group, our neighborhood. People usually bring cards or small things, craft beer, books, socks with jokes on them. But tonight, nothing. Not one card. Not one gift bag on the table. I told myself people must have forgotten. It was casual. Maybe Lily had told them not to bring anything. Still, the absence felt rehearsed. And there were the stairs. Tiny, imperceptible hesitations when I walked past groups. The kind of silences that snap into place just a second too late. Lily's friend Sienna asked me how work was going, then didn't hear a word I said. Her eyes were fixed behind me, on Lily and Graham, talking too close by the grill. I turned just in time to see his hand brush her lower back, then pull away like it was nothing. Later that night, when most people had gone and the string lights buzzed above our heads, I found her by the porch alone, wine glass still half full. The yard was a mess of tipped chairs and soggy napkins. "You okay?" I asked, stepping beside her. She nodded slowly, eyes glassy. "Just tired." I watched her for a second. "You haven't been sleeping much." She turned toward me. "What's that supposed to mean?" I held up my hands, already backing off. "Nothing. I just noticed." She didn't respond. Just sipped the wine and looked at the street like she wasn't sure which house was ours. Inside, she went straight to the bedroom without saying goodnight. I stayed behind, cleaning plastic cups off the lawn. At some point, Graham came back. Said he forgot his jacket. We stood there on the porch in the half-dark, neither of us saying much. "You good?" he asked finally, his voice low. "Yeah. You?" He nodded. Looked off toward his house. "Yeah. Things are working themselves out. That was the first time I really looked at him, really saw him. And something inside me shifted. He wasn't smiling. When I walked back inside, I noticed the earrings. Sitting on the windowsill by the sink, delicate, gold with a little pearl on the end. Lily never wore earrings like that. I picked them up, turned them over. They weren't hers. I'd have bet my life on it. I brought them into the bedroom. She was already under the covers, pretending to be asleep. "Hey," I whispered. "You leave these by the sink?" She didn't open her eyes. No, probably someone's from the party. But the way she said it, too fast, too flat, told me everything I needed to know. I stood there a long time, holding the earrings in my hand like they were evidence. Of what? I didn't know yet. Not really. But I could feel it. That slow, unbearable certainty. Everyone knew something I didn't. Everyone. And whatever it was, it had already started to hollow me out. The earrings stayed where I left them, in the back of my sock drawer, nestled between loose change and an old tie clip I hadn't worn in years. I didn't bring them up again, and neither did Lily. That silence said more than any argument could. I watched her in the mornings. She made coffee the same way she always had, 2 sugars, splash of oat milk, small sip first like she was testing poison. Her routine hadn't changed, but her posture had. Looser. Like some weight had been lifted, and I wasn't sure whether I was the weight. That Thursday, I found an envelope in our mailbox. No return address, just my name written in careful script. Inside was a small cream-colored card. Remembrance gathering for Claire. Friday, 7 p.m. The Eberts Garden. Casual. No last name. No explanation. Claire. Graham's wife. Or ex-wife. Or something. I stood on the driveway holding that card longer than I should have. I hadn't known she was dead. No one told me. No obituary. No service. Just a note 2 years after she vanished saying we were remembering her now. I asked Lily about it that night while she was folding laundry. She didn't look up. "Oh, I thought you knew." I didn't. She passed last year. Around the holidays. Graham kept it quiet. I nodded slowly, unsure what unsettled me more, that Graham never told me, or that Lily didn't either. She was sick. I asked. Lily shrugged. Something with her lungs, I think. Complications. I'm not sure. She was lying. Not in the overt way. Just that too careful tone. That calm deflection that sounds practiced. "I should go," I said. Of course, she replied too quickly. Friday came. The Eberts' house sat at the end of the cul-de-sac, wrapped in climbing ivy and good taste. They hosted every block party, every Easter brunch. They were the social glue of our neighborhood, the kind of couple who always smiled with their teeth. Their backyard was strung with paper lanterns, and soft acoustic guitar played from a speaker tucked beneath the hedge. There were folding chairs arranged in a semicircle and a folding table covered with photos of Claire. And that's when something broke open. There were photos of her laughing, holding a dog I'd never seen, hiking in mountains I didn't recognize. One showed her at a cabin porch, blanket around her shoulders, holding a mug. Graham was in the background, shirtless, barely in frame. The timestamp in the corner read January 5th, 2022. I remember that date because I'd been with Graham that day. We'd gone to a Nuggets game. He'd insisted on getting out of the house. Said the holidays had been too quiet, too cold. His exact words. We even had beers in his living room after, watched some awful action movie. Claire had been in Denver, he said, with her sister. But in the photo, she looked anything but gone. Evelyn Ebert stood near the table, telling another guest how Claire had lived at their rental cabin for a few months to clear her head. No one noticed me standing there, staring at the photo. The mug Claire was holding had a logo on it. A diner I knew. One Lily used to work at years ago, before we got married. I left early. Told them I wasn't feeling well. Back home, Lily was in the shower. I walked past the bathroom without announcing myself, her voice floating over the water, soft, tuneless humming. Her phone sat on the nightstand, screen dim. I know how it sounds. Snooping. Paranoid. Weak. But I unlocked it anyway. She never changed the passcode. My birthday. She used to say that way she'd never forget. Her messages were clean. Suspiciously so. No text from Graham. In fact, no text at all from before last Tuesday. A whole thread of nothing. Either she deleted everything, or this wasn't the phone she used anymore. Then I checked her photo album. The cloud folder. There was one picture. Not of her. Not of us. It was of the same cabin porch from the memorial photo, taken from a different angle. No timestamp. But the mug was the same. The blanket. The pine trees behind her. Only Claire was gone from the frame. The focus was on the door, slightly ajar. A shadow just behind it. I sat on the edge of the bed, my head swimming. I didn't hear the water shut off. Didn't realize Lily was behind me until she spoke. Looking for something? Her voice was calm, detached, like she already knew the answer. I turned, the phone still in my hand. Why didn't you tell me she died? She tilted her head, towel wrapped around her like armor. Because you didn't ask. Did you take this picture? She didn't even glance at the screen. Delete it. I waited. What happened to Claire? Lily stepped forward, close enough that I could smell the steam on her skin. She smiled, soft and cruel. You're tired, Mal. You should sleep. And then she walked past me, dropped the towel, and slipped into bed like nothing had happened. I didn't sleep that night. I lay there next to her, eyes fixed on the ceiling, pulse dull and distant. Something happened at that cabin. Claire didn't die of complications, and I wasn't supposed to be asking questions. I started writing things down, not to confront her. Not yet. Just to anchor myself to something that couldn't be gaslit or revised. I needed proof of reality written in my own hand. Something to come back to if I started second-guessing what I saw. The notebook was small, cheap, spiral-bound with a red plastic cover, tucked behind the radiator in my study. I listed everything. Tuesday, Lily left at 7:12 p.m. Said she had a board meeting. Graham's car was gone at 7:22 p.m. Both returned around 10:40. No paperwork in her bag. No leftovers from the office. Smelled faintly of firewood. That detail stuck. The smell. It wasn't strong. Just a whisper of burned cedar, the kind you only notice if you're used to the absence. A smell our house didn't have. But Graham's did. I didn't confront her. I just started looking harder. Wednesday morning, Lily hummed in the kitchen while making oatmeal. She tapped her phone screen with a little smile on her lips, the kind I hadn't seen in months. When I walked in, she put the phone face down. She used to hand it to me when mine was charging. Now it was always face down. That night, she told me she was meeting an old coworker named Tessa for a late coffee. Said Tessa was going through a divorce. Needed a friend. She even changed clothes before leaving. Black jeans. One of her favorite sweaters. Not casual, not formal. Intentional. I nodded, told her to drive safe. Waited exactly 9 minutes after she pulled out of the driveway before I followed. I stayed 2 cars behind her, keeping low. I didn't know what I was doing. My hands were sweating on the wheel, pulse pounding like I'd stolen something. She didn't go to the coffee shop. She drove past downtown into the hills, where the streetlights thin out and the houses sit farther apart, where things don't get seen unless you want them to be. I pulled over just far enough not to be seen and killed the headlights. Her car turned left into a driveway I knew too well. Graham's. I sat in my car, engine humming softly, my breath fogging the windshield. I should have taken a photo. Should have filmed it. But I didn't. I just watched. His porch light flicked on. The front door opened. He stepped out in a gray hoodie, jeans, barefoot, like he'd been waiting for her. She got out slowly. No hug. No kiss. Just a shared look. Like an unspoken sentence passed between them. Then they both disappeared inside. I don't know how long I sat there. Could have been 15 minutes. Could have been 50. But at some point, the porch light turned off again, and I heard something sharp. Laughter. Her laughter. Muffled through the walls. Followed by Graham's voice. Low and close and unmistakably intimate. Then I heard another voice. A third one. Too soft to place, but definitely not theirs. And Lily said they'd be alone. The next morning, I didn't say a word. I made her coffee. Kissed her on the cheek. She smiled like nothing had changed. Later that day, I pulled an old plastic storage bin from the garage and emptied it on the floor. Camping gear. Flashlights. Worn gloves. My old camera. I found what I was looking for at the bottom. A black Sony audio recorder I used once for class observations. Still worked. Batteries corroded but replaceable. I tested it that afternoon, then slipped it into my coat pocket. That Friday, Lily said she was working late again. Outreach stuff, she said. Might run long. I nodded. Of course. She didn't ask why I was dressed to go out too. I parked down the street this time, farther away, and approached on foot. Graham's place was dark except for the living room. A sliver of yellow light leaked from behind the curtain. I waited until I heard voices. Then I slipped the recorder behind a brick planter near the porch steps, angled just enough toward the window. I left it there. Walked away. Drove around the block 3 times before heading home. The next morning, I retrieved it before sunrise. My hands were shaking so badly I almost dropped it. I waited until Lily left to run errands before I played it. Most of it was murmured conversation, soft, indistinct. Then laughter. More wine being poured. The clink of glasses. Then Graham, do you think he knows? Lily, if he does, he's playing dumb. Like always. A pause. Do you feel guilty? He asked. She didn't answer. Then, barely audible, another voice. Not Graham. Not Lily. Male, younger. Nervous. You guys promised. You said I wouldn't get dragged into this. Graham, relax. No one's dragging anyone. It's all handled. Then Lily, clearer than anything else. He's just background now. He doesn't matter anymore. I stopped the tape. Rewound it. Played that line again. He's just background now. I didn't feel rage. Not yet. Just cold. Like someone had opened a window in the middle of winter, and I'd only just noticed the draft. That night, I went for a walk. Past the houses with their porch lights glowing. Past the flicker of televisions behind curtains. I passed the Eberts' place and stopped outside Graham's. His driveway was empty. His house dark. But there was something strange about the garden. The smell. Not firewood. Not mulch. Burnt plastic. I stepped closer to the hedge where the trash bins usually sat. One of them was missing. Then I saw it. In the ash and dirt by the fence. A melted photo frame. I could still make out the faces behind the warped glass. Faded but unmistakable. It was Claire. And Lily. And between them, a man I didn't recognize. The third voice. The envelope was plain. No stamp. No return address. Just my name in small block letters. I found it taped to the bathroom mirror. Lily had already left for work. At least, that's what she said. I was brushing my teeth when I noticed it. The condensation from my shower made the paper curl at the edges. I peeled it off slowly, heart kicking up without knowing why. Inside, a single sheet of paper. One sentence. Typed. They were together the night your brother died. That was it. No signature. No context. Just that one line. I stood there in my towel, dripping water onto the tile, staring at those words until the mirror fogged over again and erased my reflection. My brother, Adam, died last October. Sudden heart failure. Healthy 1 minute, gone the next. It made no sense. He was 38. Ran marathons. Ate clean. Rarely drank. The coroner called it an underlying condition. One of those freak things. Lily held my hand at the funeral. Graham drove me home. Neither of them said much. I hadn't thought about that night in months. But now it came back all at once, hot and sour. Lily had been unreachable that evening. Said her phone died. Said she was at a yoga class. Graham told me he was out of town for work, some security conference in Santa Fe. He sent me a condolence text the next morning. I never questioned it. Until now. That night, I didn't sleep. I lay in the dark with the letter beside me on the nightstand like a loaded weapon. Lily's breathing was soft and even. She curled toward me once in the middle of the night, resting her hand on my chest, like nothing was wrong. Her hand felt like stone. In the morning, I called my mother. How did they find Adam? I asked. She hesitated. In his apartment. Neighbors called when he didn't show up for work. Police had to force the door. Was anything missing? What? Anything stolen? Any signs of anything weird? No, she said slowly. Why are you asking about this now? I don't know. I lied. Just dreaming about him lately. She softened then. Told me he loved me. That it wasn't my fault. I thanked her and hung up. Then I called the precinct that handled his death. Asked if I could come by to review the old report. Told them I was family. But something about it never sat right. The officer on the phone sighed. You're not the first person asking about this. What? He paused. Someone came by last month. Asked about the apartment. Wanted to know if the file was still open. Who? Didn't leave a name. Woman. Red hair. Said she was his friend. Lily had red hair when we met. Dyed it darker the last few years. Said it made her look more settled. That afternoon, I tore the house apart. I wasn't looking for anything specific. Just anything. Something she forgot to hide. In the back of her closet, I found a box inside an old gym bag. A label on the side read tax records, but the contents were anything but. Inside, a burner phone. No SIM card. A USB drive. A man's watch I'd never seen before. Leather band. Gold dial. Not Adam's. Not mine. Engraved with the initials AD. I didn't plug in the drive. Not yet. I just sat there holding the watch, feeling my pulse in my fingertips. Graham's last name is Dalton. Adam Dalton? No. That didn't make sense. But something about that initial A made my mouth go dry. That night, I set up an old laptop with no Wi-Fi. Plugged in the USB drive. Just photos. Dozens of them. Lily. Graham. Together. But not just the two of them. Sometimes with a third man. Younger. Taller. Familiar, in a way that made my hands tremble. Then I found one that stopped me cold. It was a picture of Adam. At a restaurant. Taken from outside the window. Candid. From the angle, he had no idea he was being watched. Another. Adam and Lily. Hugging. Her face turned toward the camera. Smiling. Then the last one, Adam, Graham, and the man I didn't recognize, together at a table. Date stamp. 2 nights before Adam died. When Lily got home, I was already sitting at the kitchen table. The letter was there. The watch. The USB drive. She froze in the doorway. Where did you get those? Her voice was soft. Too soft. Like a mother trying not to scare a wounded animal. You tell me, I said. She didn't move. Didn't come closer. Her fingers curled slightly at her sides. I watched her carefully. And for the first time in 12 years, I saw something in her face that wasn't love. Or boredom. Or resentment. It was fear. Not guilt. Fear. Lily didn't run. She didn't cry. She didn't even sit down. She just stood in the doorway, her eyes flicking between the objects on the table like she was cataloging them, calculating which one could hurt her most. The watch. The USB drive. The letter. What do you think you know? She asked. It wasn't a question. It was a challenge. I said nothing. Just leaned back in the chair, arms crossed over my chest, and let the silence stretch. After a moment, she moved toward the chair across from me. Slowly. Like every step was permission she didn't yet have. When she finally sat, she didn't meet my eyes. You were never supposed to see that drive, she said. I waited. She glanced up. Something in her face cracked. Not regret. Not yet. But fatigue. The kind that comes after a long lie you've worn like skin. You remember when we met? She said. That gallery downtown. That rainy night. I nodded. I wasn't there for you, she said. And just like that, it began to unravel. She met Adam first. Not at a gallery, but at a tech networking event 2 years before I met her. She said he was magnetic. Intense. The kind of man who made you feel like the only person in the room. They started something casual. Drinks. Weekends. Nothing serious. Until Graham got involved. Graham had been building a shell company. Something that looked clean on paper, consulting, development, vague corporate speak. But behind the scenes, he was laundering funds. Early crypto investments, offshore accounts, things that wouldn't flag unless you were looking closely. He needed someone with credibility. Someone with a clean name. No red flags. Adam fit. Lily introduced them. I didn't know what it was at first, she said. They kept it vague. But by the time I figured it out, I was already in too deep. They moved fast. Formed an LLC under Adam's name. Signed documents. Rerouted funds. She was the intermediary. The smiling face. The one who brought in investors without asking questions. Then Adam tried to walk. He got cold feet. Said the numbers didn't add up. Said they were playing with something too big. Too fast. He called me the night before he died, Lily said. Said he was going to turn everything over to the police. Said he didn't care what it cost. I could feel my pulse in my jaw. And what did you say? She looked away. I told him not to. I begged him. I told him we'd fix it. Clean it up. Did you? She didn't answer. What happened that night? I asked. I went to his apartment, she said. He wasn't answering texts. I let myself in. You had a key? She nodded. He was on the floor, she said. Alive. Barely. I think he'd overdosed. Pills. I don't know. She swallowed. I didn't call 911. I froze. I sat there and watched him. I didn't know what to do. I stared at her, the silence between us growing heavier with every breath. Then Graham showed up, she added. That name, again. Graham. Like a stain that kept spreading. He told me to leave, she said. Said he'd handle it. That it was already too late. I pressed my fingers to my temples, the pressure in my skull unbearable. Did he kill him? She hesitated. I don't know. Did you think he would? She looked at me. And this time, her voice didn't crack. Yes. She broke then. Just a little. Told me the rest like she was confessing to a priest who'd already condemned her. She married me because it was safe. Because I was Adam's brother, and Graham said it would make things easier. Cleaner. If I was close, I wouldn't suspect. But I did love you, she whispered. Eventually. I wanted to throw something. Scream. But my body wouldn't move. Instead, I asked one question. Why now? She blinked. What do you mean? The letter. The photo. The USB. Why now? Why leave a trail? I didn't, she said. I've been careful. That stopped me cold. If she didn't leave the letter, someone else had. Later that night, after she went to bed, after she cried and tried to wrap herself around me like some desperate apology, I opened the laptop again. Scrolled through the files. Found one folder I hadn't opened. Inside, audio clips. Voice memos. Adam's voice. Clear as a bell. Left for someone he trusted. I listened to the last one twice. I think they're going to use Lily to get to Malcolm. If anything happens to me, she's part of it. I wish it wasn't true. But I've seen the way she looks at him. It's not love. It's guilt. I closed the laptop and just sat there, staring at the dark. The house was quiet when I left. Not empty, just hollow. Like it had already started letting go of us before I even packed the last box. I didn't take much. My laptop. A few clothes. The photo of Adam from our childhood. The one where we're building sandcastles with matching bruises on our knees. I left the ring, her letters, the wedding photos. All of it stayed in the drawers like museum artifacts in a gallery no one visited anymore. By the time she got home, I was gone. I didn't leave a note. She didn't deserve an ending she could twist into a story. Instead, I left a copy of the flash drive in a plain envelope, addressed to Graham Dalton's employer, a government subcontractor with strict disclosure rules and zero tolerance for financial misconduct. I sent another to the state attorney's office. The files were clean, time-stamped, linked to shell companies under Adam's name. The audio recordings were the real blow: Adam's voice, Lily's confession, Graham's threat to handle it. There was no spectacle, no viral takedown, just the slow grind of bureaucracy doing what it does best, documenting consequences. She tried to call. Once. Blocked number. I didn't answer. A few days later, I heard from a neighbor, old Mrs. Riggins, who never misses anything that happens on our street. She came home and just stood on the porch, she told me. Didn't even go inside at first. Just stared at the door like it belonged to someone else. It did. She asked around, but no one said much. The cul-de-sac had turned cold. Neighbors knew enough, or sensed enough. People know when rot sets in. They just don't say it out loud until the smell gets too strong to ignore. Graham's car disappeared a few days after the letters went out. I checked the news, just once. Nothing big. Just a quiet line in a press release. An employee has been placed on indefinite leave pending an internal investigation. That was enough. I didn't go far. Just far enough. A small town up north, nothing special. Rented a studio above a bookstore that smells like dust and time. The floors creak. The radiator hisses when it rains. It's good. I took a job teaching again. Part-time. History. The kids ask questions that have nothing to do with the textbook. I like that. The nights are quiet here. Quieter than I expected. Sometimes I sit by the window with a cup of tea Adam would have made fun of me for drinking. I stare at the street, waiting for a feeling that still hasn't come. Relief. It's not here yet. But I think that's okay. Some things don't settle clean. Some endings stay sharp. Last week, I visited the cemetery. First time since the funeral. I brought the watch. The one Lily kept. The one with the initials engraved like a mark someone tried to bury. I don't know if it was Adam's or Graham's or some third name I was never meant to learn. But it's not mine to carry anymore. I knelt at the grave. Not to talk. Not to pray. Just to be there. To let him know I saw it through. I dug a small hole behind the headstone and placed the watch inside. Covered it with dirt. Pressed my palm to the earth like sealing a letter I'll never send. Then I stood up and walked away. Some people think betrayal is fire. A burst. A scream. A slamming door. But it's not. It's quieter than that. It's a slow, rotting silence that settles in your walls, warps your floors, makes you doubt the weight of your own footsteps. And when you finally leave it behind, the silence doesn't leave you. It just follows at a distance, like a ghost that knows your name but has nowhere else to go. Thanks for watching. If this story pulled you in, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss the next confession. Until next time, take care and watch who you trust.